Good afternoon, Trump family. Welcome to Open Source News. Have a good day and God bless you. And of course, Happy Independence Day. Happy birthday, America. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news this Tuesday. Famous Rhino Mitt Romney decided to go ahead and head to the op-ed of The Atlantic today, and go ahead and trash Trump and every supporter that supports Trump. In the process of writing this op-ed, he shows his disdain for the America First movement, he shows his disdain for actually holding up to the commitment you run on. And he sits there and he praises Joe Biden as being a great man, a good man. Really? People from Utah who have voted for Mitt Romney, why have you voted for this dude? I hope you guys truly don't fall for his shenanigans this next time around and vote for him again in 2024. And that'll be the next time he's up for re-election. Mitt Romney is one of those individuals who is much rather get to have the praise of Democrats, and the media that actually tried to go to work for the people who send them to Congress or who had elected him as governor of Massachusetts, or what when he ran for president back in 2012. This guy has been a weasel for such a long time. And he continues to remain one, and he continues to attack the Republican base at every turn. And he doesn't care about the Republican base whatsoever. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just wants to continue to get the praise from Democrats. And that's what he does. And that's why he writes these articles. So we'll take a look at a little bit of it here in just a moment. So it's Mitt Romney attacks Trump in a scathing July 4th op-ed, praises Joe Biden as a genuinely good man. Yeah. Good job there, Pierre Deflecto. Right now Senator Mitt Romney aka Pierre Delicto. If you don't know what that is, from doubt from when he was on Twitter. He used a backup account in order to go troll or tried to troll Trump, attacked Trump and his scathing op-ed in The Atlantic and warned the nation was at risk. Coordinator Romney: the nation isn't at risk of collapse because the globalist puppet Joe Biden and his Marxist agenda as Donald Trump's fault for dividing the country. Too many Americans are bloody dismissing threats that could have proved cataclysmic to fail. President hopeful wrote in his July 4th op-ed. Romney, who owns at least 2 sprawling mansions and flies in private jets, started off by writing his wringing his hands over the climate change crisis, droughts and melting ice caps. As the ice caps melt and record temperatures make the evening news, we figured that buying a Prius and recycling the boxes from our daily Amazon deliveries will suffice. He wrote a drive a Prius daily Amazon deliveries. This guy isn't elitist, we is a globalist, right? Romney then attacked Trump supporters and said we are in a nation in denial. And when the Rena Re-owned conservative former federal appellate judge testifies that we are already in a war for our democracy and that January 6, 2021, was genuine constitutional crisis, Magnus MAGA loyalists snicker, that he speaks slowly and celebrated that most people weren't watching. What accounts for the dismissal of the potentially cataclysmic threat? The left thinks the right is at fault for ignoring climate change and the attacks on our political festival. The right thinks that the left is a problem for ignoring illegal immigration into national debt. But wishful thinking happens across the political spectrum more and more. We are a nation in denial. I have witnessed time and again in myself and others, a powerful impulse to believe that we hope to be the case. We don't need to cut back on watering because the drought is just part of a cycle that will reverse with economic growth. Debt will take care of itself. January 6th was a false flag operation. A classic example of denial comes from Donald Trump. I won in a landslide. Perhaps this is a branch of the same delusion that leads people to feed money and to slot machines because I really want to win. I believe that I will win. And then he went on to praise Biden. Romney said Biden, the lifelong Washington criminal and grifter, is a genuinely good man. President Joe Biden, he says, is a genuinely good man, but he has been unable to break through our national malady of denial, deceit and distrust. A return of Donald Trump would feed the sickness, probably rendering an incurable Congress as particularly disappointing. Our elected officials put a finger in the wind with more frequently than they show backbone against it. Too often washing demonstrates the maximum that for evil to thrive only requires good men to do nothing. Rob Romney wrote in a petulant paragraph in his op-ed. Loser Romney into his piece by rejecting Trump 2024 White House bid. And he ends his article saying, I hope for a president who can rise above the den to unite us behind the truth. Several contenders with experiences smart staying in the wings, we intently watch to see if they also possess the requested character and ability to bring the nation together in confronting our common reality. While we wait, leadership must come from fathers and mothers, teachers and nurses and priests and rabbis, visits women and men, journalists and pundits that will require us to rise above ourselves, above our grievances and resentments, and grasp the mental mantle of leadership our country so badly needs. And Mitt Romney is one of the issues of our country. And he is one of these politicians who sticks his finger in the wind to see which way it's blowing in order to make sure that he stays in the good graces of the Washington Post, New York Times, and CNN. Mitt Romney is what is wrong with the Republican Party in politics itself. So again, these rhinos always feel good to come out when the political wind is going in their direction. They feel they can latch on to this January 6th commission and continue to ride that wave. Unfortunately for them, it looks like we're going to have a lot of America First individuals coming into Congress who may want to take a little closer look at those records of theirs and see what they were truly colluding. And then, Mittens Romney wrote of course, it was about how horrible Trump is and our democracy. How horrible Trump is and how Trump is undermining our democracy, the same exact thing you've heard from CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, The Atlantic, Mother Jones, The Nation, Vanity Fair Esquire, Rolling Stone, BuzzFeed. Let's see, Time Magazine, New Yorker, New York Magazine, all of Hollywood. You hear it at late night, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, where you hear it during the Oscars. You hear it during the Emmys. Corporations are now trying to regurgitate the same nonsense. If they don't have every single possible advantage. Every element of life has been infused by this twisted, warped, absurd sense of morality. Trump is bad because his image is bad. Because media and all the smart people and the smartest people and the adults in the room don't like him. Okay. And Joe Biden is a good man. So here's a quote from The Atlantic. I mean, if you just judge Trump on his accomplishments and just judge Biden on his accomplishments, there's no doubt Trump is a better president and a better human being. You can look at mashed potato brains, Joe 94 crime bill voting alongside Bush, Cheney and Rumsfeld being accused literally by a woman of what Trump was talking about, joking about. I don't know why, but I'm on a hot mic. Literally being accused of that specific, heinous, crime. And Democrats are like, yeah, no, it's a you'll go to prison if you lie. Can you imagine the way they treated Kavanaugh's accuser and the way they treated Joe's accuser? Look at the difference. I mean, you're talking about the biggest hypocrites, the most disingenuous, duplicitous people on the planet. That's why 70+ million Americans will always vote for Trump, always, no matter what he says. Because look at who he's going up against, the greatest hypocrites of all time. But anyway, this is Mittens Romney appeared electo on Twitter or joking while he was for a second. The Atlantic. President Joe Biden is a genuinely good man. Really? He's a good man. Okay. You haven't asked his accuser or accusers, that also. He is basically a political, wherever the political winds take him, he'll go. That's why he voted alongside Bush, Cheney and Rumsfeld. That's why he wrote the crime bill. And you have Trump with the First Step Act, Trump with the Doha Agreement that Biden completely botched. It's Trump that reversed U.S. foreign policy. It's Biden and other Democrats, Kerry Clinton, that helped implement miserably failed foreign policy, counterinsurgency conflicts, 20 years of endless military conflicts, interventions, regime changes. And by the way, God bless you, God bless the veterans of this country for watching. God bless you and your families, happy 4th of July, and have a safe and wonderful 4th of July. But this is a quote from The Atlantic. President Joe Biden is a genuinely good man. Really, Mittens? What makes him good? I want to know what makes him good, and not just a career politician who has actually done more harm for the country in the long term than Trump ever did. Trump's personality that can harm the country. Okay. His personality, his tweets did not harm the country. We had record low unemployment, hundreds of thousands of new manufacturing jobs. Inflation was what 2% GDP growth was wonderful. We had real wages up. We had such a strong economy, we could implement tariffs as a short-term tactic against China, and oh my God, Democrat, the Democrats and people like Romney couldn't stand it. And so when people say, well, Trump did things a normal Republican wouldn't do. Yes, that's why everyone liked him. That's why he has such support. Like imagine you have half the electorate voting for you but you have over 90+% negative media coverage. Trump is running a 4,540 with a 100-pound backpack. Let's read this President Joe Biden as a genuinely good man. But he has yet to bet he is yet this is hilarious. He has yet been unable to break through our national malady of denial, deceit and distrust, lights our national malady. It's because of people like Mitt Romney who write in The Atlantic and newsletter for the Democratic Party. And who will ignore that did Mitt Romney condemn $1 to $2 billion in property damage that summer, and I agree with the cause. But you can't tell me that if Trump supporters were linked to $1 to $2 billion in property damage, 19 lives lost according to Wikipedia, and 14,000 arrests. You can't tell me all of media, every Democratic activist would say, my God, look at this Democrats are that, like I agree with why people demonstrated, but I don't agree with a CNN journalist in front of a building set ablaze saying, what's fiery, but mostly peaceful. I mean, everyone sees the duplicity. Everyone sees the deceit. That's why Trump will always get half the electorate. In addition to the good things that he's done, Trump has done more good for the country, just in terms of the economy. Nobody can make a rational argument saying this economy under Joe Biden is better than Trump's economy, and don't bring up the last year of his presidency, like a petulant imbecile if you're a Democratic activist or strategist, because it was people like Andrew Cuomo who gleefully tanked their economies and got Emmys. And so you have this like, this is amnesia. It's only 2 years ago. You know, what you did you think that you can't detect the economy, because experts told you to do so. Trump wanted to open it up really, really quickly. People Washington Post New York Times too soon, experts say it's too soon. And now you have record highs and inflation, commodity prices soaring. That's what happens. When you take the economy you obliterate supply and demand projections, demand plummets, then you open up the economy like a light switch, demand skyrockets, and you have prices at all-time highs. And that will be one of the reasons we have oil hitting $150 per barrel. It will be directly the fault of experts and bureaucrats and Democrats who tanked the economy 2 years ago, of course to save you, but they're still focused on the same thing. So why did they even do that? But anyway, our national malady of denial, deceit and distrust is the fault of people like Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert, or social media algorithms for people who run publications like the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC. When you have the entire American media leveled against one man and half the electorate vote for that man votes for that man, there's a problem. You're fracturing society into different tribalistic, factions. You eat when you have a media that is sided with the Democratic Party, at the expense of truth, they lie by omission. They went after they complained that Trump was installed by the Kremlin for 4 years. And then they act in horror, as Trump doesn't accept results. Well, in their own way. They didn't accept results. They complained forever. They said they had a Mueller probe. We have evidence that he was working with another country. No, that never happened. Trump was telling the truth compared to media. He was telling the truth every single day regarding that, and a whole bunch of other things. Where's the running tally of Joe Biden's lies with the Washington Post, about inflation, about the economy, about foreign policy, about everything? You'd have? I mean, and think of it like they can't find a CNN has a tally of Trump's greatest lies. Nothing close to top secret intelligence on private servers for convenience. That's a lie. It's not for convenience. Okay, or inflation is temporary. That's a lie. They knew it wasn't temporary, or even though they're stupid, but here which could be both. And return a Donald Trump would feed the problem, probably rendering it incurable. Congress's way white, a return of Donald Trump would save the economy. Okay. Our elected officials put a finger in the wind more frequently. They show backbone against it. Yes. The man who's the Republican who's writing in The Atlantic showing backbone. Thank you. Too often, Washington demonstrates the maxim that for evil to thrive only requires good men to do nothing. Your writing of the Atlantic mittens, I hope for the president, could rise above the din tonight as behind the truth. If Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan ran again, they would get less than 60 million votes. Okay. And they would have the same media coverage that Trump got. Don't think if you're an ever-Trump Republican that if you just had a good Republican, everything will be different. Democrats in media will treat everyone like Donald Trump. They only were able to sensationalize and obsess over Trump because Trump doesn't care about what they think. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts.